Well, it's New Year's Day, January 1st, 2012. I think it's very important for people to realize that they have potential. I think it's very important for people to realize that this is about an awakening. This is not just about opposing the things that we don't want. New World Order, global police state, World War III. We want community. We want to have some connection to our food supply, our water, our friends, our neighbors, the larger world out there. There's so many things we can do to make the world a better place that are far outside the box of the political arena. Being compassionate, being a friend, helping other people, trying to do good. There are so many things that we can do to make our lives more pleasant. And there's a lot of focus on the New World Order. There's a lot of focus on what they're doing. There's a lot of focus on fear of NDAA this and this, that, and the other. At the same time that we're concerned about all of these things and we're seeing all these disasters in television shows about the world in 2012, I think the question is, how do we make our lives more peaceful? How do we engage in mindful relationships? How do we create our own little utopia, our own little paradise in our own little world and seek to imprint something positive in the world around us through our actions, through our deeds, through our intent? So there's a lot of people saying, well, this group's ineffective and that group's ineffective. There's a lot of finger pointing and a lot of people coming from some sort of a belief system that there's some sort of an easy solution to this, as if we just entered into this type of society that we're in right now overnight, and that's not actually the reality. And so the world is made up of relationships. I know a lot of people are just thinking about guns, bullets, nation states, but ultimately the world is made up of relationships, and ultimately the root cause of our problems, I believe, in my opinion, stem from a breakdown in the true dynamic balance between man, woman, family. So there's a lot we can do. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot I've been doing for years without any income, without being paid by anybody or getting an income. And so this is something that I want to remind others out there that are not yet willing to put their own personal time forward to get something done because they're busy, because they have a girlfriend, boyfriend, because they're working a lot, they're engaged in the rat race, they're playing video games, there are many excuses we have for inaction. And 2012, the awakening, the expansion of consciousness, it's seeing the potential, what's possible, what we can do, and what we are doing. I think with Occupy, the larger message was lost along the way. For a lot of people, not everyone, and I don't agree that it's okay to marginalize all of Occupy, because you have many people that support Ron Paul that have joined the Occupy movement, and they're trying to turn the tide another way to where people are understanding that you can't just re-elect Obama and think that's going to fix the problems on Wall Street. You have to have a candidate that's not bought and paid for by Wall Street. But I think the larger lesson in all of this is compassion, and that lacking in some Occupy Wall Street protesters' rhetoric and dialogue. And I'm talking about compassion for the victims of war in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and other places. If you only focus on yourself and your own little dreams and your own little goals and your own little desires, you're not much different than that Occupy protester that's protesting just because he has some sort of a student loan debt. It's hard work. Yes, it's hard work producing alternative media, getting information out there, doing things other than just simply posting on Facebook, but it's necessary. You know, I honestly believe that this is more of a spiritual mission. This is my spiritual path than something political. I don't like the term politics, that this is politics. This is about the human experience. This is about having empathy. This is about feeling our emotions and not being a robot, despite the fact that we live in some sort of a zombie apocalypse robotic society with lots of trinkets and baubles and cell phones and gadgets. If the grid were to go down tomorrow, just a hypothetical, you've heard theories about this, solar flares, and I think it's very possible, but I'm not afraid of this event. because I think we need some sort of an event like that to bring people together organically, outside of the machine, outside of Facebook. Outside of Facebook is very, very important, because Facebook has replaced normal human interaction for many, many people. We live in a world of fear, and in many cases, having Facebook creates that distance between you and I, or he and her, or this, that, and the other, because we think we need to create that barrier to be safe. And I think that this great awakening is starting to seep through our own lives. So this is far larger than the New World Order. Take a place like Texas, for example. There are less community gardens here by far, and less people growing food in their backyards than Portland, Oregon. The irony of that is that Portland gets far less sun, and here in Texas you have a longer period to grow food, and even in the winter, things like kale, salad, things of that nature, spinach, many different vegetables can be grown in this climate. But is that happening? No, because there is a overabundance, most of it in South Texas, that is available to all of us, cheaply, affordably at the supermarket. So when we see challenges come at us that at first glance seem very unappealing, unattractive, unenjoyable, we need to be looking long term in terms of what good can result from the challenges, the tribulations, the trials that we're facing all across the board. The food situation, the water situation, the situation with the war, the situation with these corrupt politicians. But back to where I started this video, restoring mindful relationships between each other, between man and woman, between father-son, between mother-son, between daughter-father. The whole awakening is about realizing we are a part of a larger organic extended family. And what happens in one part of the world affects another part of the world. And so it is my opinion, it is my perspective that, well, a person doesn't really go to the dentist unless they have a cavity or a root canal. Most people don't. They wait for some sort of pain, or in the world that we're living in, some sort of chaos to shock them into their true self. And we'll call it that, the truth self as opposed to the false self, that we're sold on a daily basis, and we're also sold many lies and deceptions about what other people are like, what men are like, what women are like. But we really need to be tapping into something higher. Call it intuition, call it instinct. I believe we have these things. And Bruce Lipton called this the biological imperative when he talked about the Occupy Wall Street movement. And again, there's many people at Occupy that want to re-elect the people that caused the problem in the first place. You also have people at Occupy that are representing the issues that need to be discussed, but they're not getting attention in the mainstream media. And so all of this needs to be examined, in my opinion, holistically, to understand what's really going on here, because we're living in an age of great transformation and change. And what reality we end up having for ourselves may be different than the world situation. So when you hear about NDAA and you hear about some other things, remember, there are things happening in the world, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get snuffed out because you're blogging on Facebook or because you like someone's link. I think that's utterly ridiculous. But I also think that's part of the plan, to scare the living shit out of you. And so this is an era of time that is separating the girls from the women, the boys from the men. So as we move into 2012, think about, what are your plans? Are you going to be running? Are you going to be hiding? Are you going to be worrying? Are you going to be waiting for them, the New World Order, the global elite, to launch a third world war between China and the United States? Or are you going to do the things that you can affect to create positive energy in your environment, in your family, in your relationships? This whole thing is coming down to relationships. If the grid were to go down tomorrow, we would have to work together to feed ourselves, to clothe ourselves, to keep our women safe from others that would rather trade them for property. I think some challenges are going to be coming to the United States, and so that we've never experienced in our generation. Never. Trials and tribulations in many cases bring out the best of people. We are in an age of great opportunity for great growth, evolution, expansion of consciousness. I'm going to end this video with reminding you why I named the show that I did in Portland, Oregon, Outside the Box, because there's so many people that are thinking inside the box, inside political boxes. People that maybe don't know how to perceive a reality outside of this prison planet, and so thus they break down, they melt down, and they fixate on the knife against their throat instead of getting that knife away from their throat and doing something about their situation. The next couple years is going to make many women and men on this planet much stronger than they are today. And there's something going on here that, and this is definitely in the theoretical realm, but there's something going on here that is far greater and far larger than what most of us can comprehend. And many of us, many of the people that are watching this video now, are in agreement that there is some sort of a secretive cabal, and many of us believe that it potentially could be above the level of humans when it comes to who's actually behind this conspiracy. So I think we need to ask ourselves, as we move into this shift, 2012, why are we here on Earth? I mean, what are we doing here with this knowledge and information that we have? Why are so many good people like you and I on Earth now witnessing the things that we're witnessing now and the things that are to come? There is more than meets the eye in all of this, and so it's very possible that we're being tested. And I don't want to bring this into religion, but the concept of an intelligent creator, the concept of the mathematical matrix that we live in, there's actually a geometry to even nature itself and trees and plants and things of that nature. This much has been proved thus so far. So what does it mean? These are some very, very interesting times, and to evolve, to move forward, we got to be empowered. We got to be doing what we need to be doing for ourselves and for others. We need to tap into whatever talents we have, whether it be the spoken word, music, art, healing, alternative medicine. The list goes on and on. I mentioned gardening earlier. But outside the box, it's outside of the norm. It's outside of the vox populi that says this is all about politicians, this is all about men, this is about an overpopulation problem. I do not believe such things. There are greater forces of darkness at work today to bring about this world government, and there are also powerful forces of good. The ultimate teacher, in my opinion, is life experience. There's many cases where I could have left this earth prematurely, but for some reason I didn't. There was always that feeling that there was some hand around me trying to guide me to a better, brighter spot. And I can feel that hand with me today, and that this experience that I'm having with you now is temporary, and tomorrow, actually in a few minutes, when I get stopped, all this conversation will be is simply a memory or something that's been digitally inputted into the youtube.com matrix, universe, omniverse, if you will. And so, have faith. Be strong. Marvel at the glory of all this information around us and good people that could truly change the way that things are. That's all for me. It's 2012, January 1st. We've got a long year ahead of us. There was a 7.0 earthquake in Japan. There's also another story about a soldier in Texas that tried to take a bomb on an airplane. And last night, Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Bill of 2012. And so things are moving certainly right along. All the more reason for good people like you to get directly involved outside the matrix of Facebook and places like that. Thank you for watching.